Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gaming Duo podcast, where friendships are built through gaming. I'm your host for this week, Rob Garcia, and I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Kelvin, the Kevlar Vesterlone. Kelvin, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Just came back from hanging out with some friends. Got a couple of beers. Actually, one beer. I didn't have a couple of beers. I had one beer. So, very responsible.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. Was it like how far was it from your house?
6 minutes away.
Oh, okay. That wasn't too bad.
That's not too bad. Yeah. So we had a little gift exchange, a couple friends, and it was a good time. How are you doing? You almost done work? Like you got off soon?
Next week, which is
Okay.
nice. Just trying to get things in motion with the we have a new trailer. So for those that don't know, I do CAT scan, and so we
scans people.
We scan people, and so we're getting a new scanner, which entails having a new kind of like a trailer for us to scan people in the process of our new scanner and our new room being renovated. And so that there's a lot of moving parts there, so
literally
literally.
Yeah.
And so we're just trying to get things in motion and trying to get things situated. So it's been going super well, but it's just a lot of work. So
okay. All right. Well, I wish you the best of luck. Now I know you've been playing Valhalla. You actually
beat it.
You beat Valhalla, and
yes.
It was a good time, right? It was a good time.
It is probably my favorite
Wow.
DLC. I really, it's on par with like Bloodborne's DLC. Like that's how good it is. Like it is probably, yeah, it's up there. I probably will say I enjoyed it slightly more than the actual game itself. If that sounds crazy enough.
Is it because it's a callback to the previous times, or is it more just like here you make a run or was it more of the gameplay that you really liked?
All of it, everything you just said.
Okay.
Everything you just said. I think because it's a callback to the OG God of War. We talked about that so many times, and for those that know me, I love God of War 3, right? And then there's so many callbacks to that one especially. And just the gameplay loop is amazing. Story is great. Like everything about that DLC, and then also just it's such a tiny, like small little package deal, right? It's like it's 6 hours, if that, and
Sure.
It's great. It's freaking great. So
yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, I beat it for the most part. I mean, there's more to it, but it's free. It's a free DLC for God of War 2 Ragnarok, and it doesn't get much better than that, honestly, guys. Like when it comes to DLCs, like for this being a free DLC, this is people could have paid money for this, like 15, 20 bucks, 30 at the most. But I think it's what they did over there at Santa Monica was crazy. The fact that like they completely give you a new game mode, but it felt so different from regular game, but they added story to the game mode as well. So they didn't just add like an extra like section of the game. They say, you know what, we're gonna actually just switch it up, and it's a loop. It's a loop now, and I beat it, and I kind of like want to go back and do another run, and like maybe I'll get further somewhere, or I'll fight this cool boss or something. So, kudos to you, Santa Monica, for creating that and giving that to us. So on short notice because the shadow dropped for the Game Awards. So.
It's cool because we're gonna have next month. It's gonna be the Last of Us. What is it?
It's like a run, like a horde mode in a sense.
Yeah, but it's like what is it? The remaster or remake of The Last of Us 2.
Yeah, remaster.
So within that, it has another mode similar to what we just played with Valhalla, and interested to see how that works. Interested to see if it's as good, if not better, than what Valhalla gave us, and so we'll see.
And it's only going to be $10 if you already own the game for Last of Us 2. So why not, right? Go back in there and play it. And then we just had Final Fantasy 16 come out for $10 DLC recently. So I'm all for the free and cheap DLCs. Like bring them on. Like I'm ready for this. This is awesome, and I want to see this more for. And that's the best part about being in PlayStation, right? I think this is the reason why you're a PlayStation. You play on PlayStation for this kind of reason, because they follow up with their games. You know what I mean? They're not just like, it came on, that's it. No, we're gonna keep updating it. We're gonna get you more updated versions of it. Don't worry. Like we'll stretch your dollar. So,
Right, exactly. So far, they haven't missed.
If you guys don't know, we are the podcast that talk about some gaming news. We have some heated discussions about the gaming industry as a whole, and we have some pretty cool topics that we talk about. This week, we're going to talk about the Spider-Man leaks. Insomniac Games had a huge leak. A hacker went in there, and me and Kelvin are going to kind of talk about that as kind of our in-game chat segment. So stay tuned for that. But before we get into that, let's talk about some gaming news. Kelvin, there's not too much that's happening this week just because, it's a holidays, right? Usually it's a little bit of a slower news week, but let's jump in. We have Blizzard's Bobby Kotick will be stepping down after 32 years with the company. So obviously, if you guys know World of Warcraft, the CEO has been controversial through a couple of years just because of the bro / like frat kind of mentality he had. The allegations and stuff like that happened with Blizzard and stuff like that. It was very, very bromatic. But he's finally stepping down after 32 years, which is pretty crazy. I don't know how I feel about this, but I'll say a short tidbit of an article from Kotaku. He says, over my years, my passion for video games has often attributed to Pitfall, River Raid, and Kaboom. I love those Atari games. He's basically saying how he borrowed like an Apple II and he got into it. So he's just going in as far as, how he got into gaming. He basically called Microsoft and Xbox the world's most admired company. And the major acquisition wasn't an accident. And he turns his attention to Phil Spencer. And he says Matt Booty will oversee operations at Act Blizzard going forward. This is kind of interesting to me that he's leaving as his acquisition is finally taking place, and it's happening. What do you think of this? I know you're not the biggest WoW fan or player, but you know who Bobby Kotick is. What do you think of this?
I think it's long overdue, right? I think this is something that we've heard about this happening. Like they've mentioned to us, hey, Bobby Kotick is leaving at some point. We just didn't know when. And so now we have a confirmation of when, which is great. I think the bro mentality and just the culture that he created at Activision is slowly, you can tell, I think Microsoft is changing that culture and kind of
For sure
moving things around, especially like not only Bobby Kotick is leaving, there's a bunch of other people that are kind of move around and new people were promoted to different spots. So I think this seems like it's all good news for Microsoft and Activision. I think they have a plan in place as to where these people need to take charge and what is going to happen within the Activision corporation to kind of make that a better place, a better workplace, but also just a better company altogether, right? Because I feel like the past decade or so, Activision has mainly been a Call of Duty, like just studio, right? That's all they really put out. So I feel like if they can kind of go back to what the Activision days back in like the earlier days where they were pumping out like great titles left and right and not just simply Call of Duty, I think that would be a great start to setting up the example of like what Microsoft has for Activision. So all good news. I think Bobby Kotick, whatever, like it was time for him to move on. I think we need new fresh ideas, new fresh pair of eyes to kind of like see where the industry is going, and hopefully they take it to a good spot.
Yeah, and this is very good news for Blizzard Activision fans, right? He specifically, I think, was I think head of Blizzard, right? Because I think they're trying to divide it up with those two things. I'm not 100% sure. I guess he is the Activision. I think he started as Blizzard, right? And then when they did the merger of Activision, he became the CEO of that as well, right? I think that's how it worked.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So, but this is good news because I feel like Crash, Spyro have kind of been in this weird space right now. Like they've like that they were hiding them, but they just haven't really done that much with the IPs that I think Microsoft is going to be like, we have these two awesome mascots. We need to use them. We need to utilize them because they're nostalgic. And, I would love to play a new Crash game. I would love to play a new especially a new Spyro game, right? Like reimagined. So I think this will be nice because we're not just going to see Call of Duty coming out of the studio anymore. I think we're going to see a little more variety with Activision.
Will we get a prototype?
I don't know. Maybe.
Like, how far are we taking their catalog, right?
I mean, they don't really have a big catalog. If I'm being 100% honest, it's mostly
literally Call
of Duty. Yeah, I mean, they have Sekiro on there. Sekiro was done by Activision. Yeah, it was. I guess the studio is obviously From Software, but I guess Activision was
published it.
Yeah, I guess so. Weird, right?
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
See that.
So,
okay, cool.
I think Matt Booty's gonna do a good. Funny last name. I think he's gonna do a good job. I think Blizzard and Activision is good hands, and even Phil Spencer said that he wants to give these companies more flexibility about like, hey, do your thing. We want you to have the freedom that you should have versus us being like Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty. So,
does this affect Activision, Blizzard at all in the sense of like where does World of Warcraft or Hearthstone or anything like that kind of, or even Overwatch, like, you think that's gonna do anything for those titles?
No, I think Microsoft knows what they have with that franchise, and they don't necessarily want to shake it up too much because of like how delicate it is. I know it's like waning. I've heard from people that like, oh, the expansions aren't. They're coming out the newest expansion. I forget what it's called, but that one's coming out. And then I know they have WoW OG. I mean, obviously Diablo 4 coming out. That kind of fizzled out, right? I remember it was like everyone was talking about Diablo 4 and it was amazing. And they said once you get towards the end game, you're like, there's something else. So I think they want to make sure they keep people, with the Season of Blood coming in. They want people to come back to their games. So there's a reason why Microsoft bought them, right? And they saw that like this is important IP, and we want to, or a company, and we need to make sure that everyone is happy in this ecosystem, and we can make it better, right? So, yeah, that's enough about Bobby. So long, Bobby.
Yeah. He's leaving in a great spot. Like, he has his money. He's retiring. Everyone hates him, but he's leaving.
Okay, last question. Do you think he's going to go to a different studio?
I don't think so. I think he's done.
You think he's done? He's going to walk into the sunset? Yeah. Okay. Like Jim Ryan?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Real quick here. We have more updates. So during Game Awards, Sega had a tiny little showcase saying that they're working on Jet Set Radio, Streets of Rage, and Crazy Taxi. So a lot of their older titles they want to bring back and remaster / reboot them. So we have a little more updates on those. And Kelv, get ready. This is big news for you. They want to bring back. Do you remember Shinobi?
Yeah.
Shinobi's. I didn't know that was Sega, by the way. But they want to bring a SHINOBI and Golden Axe. So that is actually absolutely insane. So let's talk about Shinobi first, because I feel like that's the biggest one for you, right? The update from Shinobi, it says slay enemies in silence of the moment. Roam through the world of Shinobi full of monsters and ninja actions. Grab Uberasuki, the legendary sword, and slay evil once more. Your clan and world are counting on you. So Shinobi was kind of like a prelude to like a Ninja Gaiden, or that's how I see it. It was kind of like a more, but there was a twist which I loved. And for me, Kelv, if I'm not mistaken, you hated time games, like games where you're timed.
Correct.
But this game, the sword absorbed your health. So you were timed in the sense that like if you weren't killing enemies, you were basically wasting away. So you had to continually kill enemies, and you were timed basically in that sense. So that didn't bother you though, right?
No, it's slightly different. I mean, you were just, as long as you're hacking away, you're fine. I don't remember there being big moments of like just moving around the world and not fighting enemies. So it didn't really bother me that much. Shinobi was for the PS2. I remember that, right?
Yes.
Um, I remember it just being a really difficult, like similar to like Ninja Gaiden, right? It was just a very hard game to kind of get through. I don't remember if I beat it or not, to be honest, but um, yeah, I can definitely see them bringing it back. I just don't know in what form. Is this like, is this literally going to be like a carbon copy of the Shinobi that we know from PS2, or like there's a bunch of different Shinobis that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, there's the one for way back in the day, like the arcade style type one. So is it more of like the PS2 version of the game, or is it more of we're rebooting the like the NES kind of stuff, right? Like
Right.
that's what I want to know. I would hope they're talking about the PS2 version, right? Because that game was honestly, I feel like underrated. I feel like it didn't get a lot of attention at the time, but it was really good. It was
It was
really
one of
good
those
game.
games where we went to the store, we saw it, we picked it out, and it was like, oh wow. We usually never miss back in the day. We would see a game, look at the cover, oh that looks cool, buy it, and then years later we realized, oh that was a critical success. Like it was like a popular game. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I'm glad that Sony's bringing this title back. There's a couple other ones here that they want to bring back. Crazy Taxi. I don't think you were a big Crazy Taxi game, but that was a
no,
big, huge for the Dreamcast. Like
yeah,
people were it's a cult favorite. Jet Set Radio, heard good things. And then Golden Axe was another one, a cult favorite. So a
right.
lot of these are just like are welcomed, right? People are just like, yes, like bring these games back. Like we love these games. We want more Sega. Give us more Sega. That's not just Sonic.
Exactly.
And I love that. I love that they're trying to make it a mini comeback.
I love
Um,
that during the Game Awards you thought this was a new console. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I don't think Sega's coming back with like Dreamcast 2 or something like
I
that.
did. You caught me. You caught me. That was so funny. Because like, Lucas. I'm like Dreamcast too. Like,
I
no,
was
you
like,
idiot.
no, not at all. There's no way that's gonna happen.
That'd be fucking nuts if it
But
happened
I
though.
did think
Right.
these were remakes, or like I thought. I'm sorry, I thought these were remasters to like older titles.
I don't know if they're 100% remasters. They might be reboots. Some of them might be remasters. I'm not 100% sure. I
I
think we'll
think
get
no, I think these are actual like
reboots.
new titles. Like
Okay.
these are
Okay.
not reboots or
Okay.
remasters. These are actual like the next iterations of of the series.
That's even better. That's even better to me.
So I think
So,
that's gonna be cool. Yeah,
yeah. Go Sega, please. So does Sega own Atlas or Atlas own Sega, or is it the other way around?
Atlas owns Sega. If I'm
Atlas, Sega owns
no, let me
Atlas,
take that back. Let me take that back.
right? I think they're related, right? I feel like
Yes,
Sega,
there's a
Atlas.
connection.
What is the connection for Atlas to
I want to
Sega?
say, uh, yeah, Atlas owns
Parent.
Sega. Yep,
No.
published and
Sega.
distributed, wholly owned and controlled by Sega.
Yes. So Sega is a parent.
Sega owns
And
Atlas.
okay, okay. So weird. Okay. Let us move
Good for
on to
them.
the last piece of news here, guys. Again, I told you it was a short news week. That's okay. Um, this is a big one. We're gonna talk about this for a while. So basically, what happened with Insomniac Games is we had a hacker. He got over 1.67 terabytes of data from Insomniac Games where it had game leaks about the upcoming projects. And they're 100% legit. These leaks are 100% legit. He got them. And he basically put them up for auction on the dark web for 7 days. They didn't meet the price, the asking price on the auction or the reserve met, whatever. So then he asked PlayStation and Sony's like, hey, give me $2 million and I won't release this data on the internet. And he actually, instead of 2 million, he actually wanted 50 Bitcoin, so which equals to $2 million, right? Which is pretty interesting that he wanted Bitcoin instead of cash. So then PlayStation said, nah. And guess what he did? He said, okay. And he released it. It's all over the internet. I will say we're not going to go into any spoilers here. We will not say anything about the leaks as far as like what the content was. We don't support this factor anyway. It's just our curiosity got the best of us, and we just wanted to see what they were. But these leaks are ridiculous. It paints things all the way up to, what was it, 2030, something like that, Kel?
Yeah. Yep. So we know Insomniac's plan for about 10 years or so, right? And so yeah, it's sad. It's sad to see, right? I mean, you all the hard work that the studio has put in and all the stuff that they have planned for us, right? It's out there, right? Everyone knows what they're doing. And as a creator, it's hard to like really imagine someone
Exploiting it.
really exploiting all that, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And just kind of it's almost just, I don't know, it's disturbing in a sense because all your hard work that you have or that you can't wait for people to see in a certain way is now out there in a way that you don't want them to see it, right? It's not complete. It's not the way that Insomnia wanted to show us, right? And so it sucks, you know.
And what sucks too is that even things that won't see the light of day, right? It's people are still going to speculate on it, right? So there might be things in those documents that like they put through, but they're not 100% as far as like they're going to happen, right? It's just
Right.
mock-ups. It's just like things that companies go through before the final product is released. Like, so people are going to take this and be like, oh my God, you guys are doing, you say you're going to do this. And then now we get, don't get me wrong. There's still, wondering to see like how they put everything together, right? Is awesome. But the cat is kind of out of the bag in a sense for them, which sucks. I don't know. And also it wasn't just gaming stuff. It was also people related. So HR, employee reports were sent, disciplinary action reports were sent over, like pretty much almost everything, like messaging between employees, like Slack, emails, you name it, just a buttload of stuff. It's a massive leak.
And like you said, we don't support this stuff, right? But at the same time, I've always said I would love to be like a fly on the wall
There you
and
go.
and this is probably the closest I would ever get in the sense of like knowing the ins and outs because like there's so much detail in these things that we're not going to go into, but it really gets you behind the scenes of like how video games are made and like what are the steps involved in planning ahead and planning your next steps, anything as little as like the menus and like what are the first 10 minutes of the game. Like there's so many things that go into it, and the way they start off things, it's not what you expect, right? It's not like you think they're very peculiar about what is done first. And I think it's fascinating to see, as terrible as this situation is. This is probably worse than the GTA 6 leak, I feel like, because
I think this is worse than the Xbox leak too.
oh yeah, for sure,
Yeah,
by
yeah,
miles.
yeah,
But remember back, GTA 6 was leaked and we saw like same thing, files of like,
yeah.
the game, and you can see the gameplay and all that stuff. Well, this just kind of does that, but 10 times worse, right? But it's I don't know. It's tough to like really understand what motives drive people to do this stuff, right? Like what's the like why
Money,
do
money.
this to
That's all it
people?
is. That's all it will always be. If they like can get it and they can get money out of it, they will. I don't. He didn't get money out of it. Maybe people did pay him. Like he went through different avenues, different um news outlets, right? I guarantee you, they would pay the money. Well, not pay something to get like, okay, I'll give you 5 gigs of data. Here you go. Pay me 100,000. He might have parted out like that. Um, But yeah, it's just again, it's just so interesting everything that goes through and what's happening with Insomniac Games. And for me, I'm just like, damn, like that's so much fucking data, dude. There's so much shit, like so much shit. And I kind of want to go into part of our in-game chat. This is kind of our in-game chat, but do you think Sony should have paid the 2 million after kind of seeing what you saw? Again, we just saw the surface. We didn't even see everything, right? Um, do you think they should have paid the 2 mil or no? Let it run its course.
No. I I think if you pay the 2 mil, you're only giving them exactly what they want. And then in theory, this will happen more often because it's like,
Okay.
oh, well, people, this guy just got 2 mil because,
He hacked it.
he hacked it and they did it. They actually gave him, they exploited, they actually gave him the 2 mil. So that, you're going to start creating this thing where it's like, it seems like it's okay to do that. And obviously that's not what we want. And also, yes, it is terrible what happened. I like this is, but it's not. I don't know. I don't think is it going to hinder the release of Wolverine? I don't think so. Like I just think
No,
people just
no,
have
no.
more information now. It's like this information wasn't gonna be shown to us, but at least we have an idea of how this game is now. Um, we would eventually see that at some point, right? But I think it just piques everyone's curiosity, like you said, and so it just gives more people way more information than they need. But at the end of the day, once Wolverine does release, it's not going to hinder its sales or anything like that. So to me, although this sucks, I don't think me shelling out the 2 mil to keep this guy shut would really benefit anybody, honestly. So I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, because no matter what, like even leak without leak, the game's still gonna sell if it's a good game, right? No matter what, and um, it's more just like you're just seeing the behind the scenes of what goes into it, right? That's you don't you're not it's not a finished product, right? You play the finished product and it's way different from all those things that were leaked out, right? So, I'm just over here. I can't believe how it looks, like everything and literal slides, literal like business decisions, literal like reports of gaming industry and stuff like that, and business decisions and stuff like that. And they're not final. That's the thing. It's not like these are these are the things that actually have. These are subject to change at any time because how it works in corporations, right?
Right.
They can mock up all of these slides and saying, well, this project, if we do this, this will generate this amount of revenue, right? It might even happen, right? It could be, well, 10 months later, it's like, no, you know what? We want them to go in this direction. Let's move over here. This is what or the landscape has changed. Let's go in this direction. So to say like this is 100% what they're going to do, they might do it, right? They might do it. Remember with Xbox, they were saying the project, what was it called? The slim model, the slimmer model. I forget the name of it. You remember the name? I don't remember
The new one that they're releasing?
Yeah, it was like a, I forget, it was a name to it.
Bronco? No, not Bronco.
Bronco.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, right, exactly. And they were like, we don't have it yet. Like, it's not here
Mhm.
yet. And we're like 100% they're going to announce it this year or whatever. But
Yeah.
we're still speculating about it. It's so, and we're going to do the same thing about this game. We're going to speculate about Wolverine. We're going to speculate about Spider-Man. Like, we're going to do all that stuff. So, now is it morally wrong to look at the information? Do you think, like, or no?
No, I think it's there. The information is out there, right? If you want to see it, I mean, I think it's fine. I think it's not
Yeah,
anything that would really make or break anything, right? I
yeah.
think if
Uh,
there's anything that I do want to talk about within the leaks that isn't really spoilery or anything, is that we are able to see the what's it called, the budget for certain titles and how much things were kind of like the revenue in certain things. And so in the whole leak here, we see that Spider-Man 2, the total budget for Spider-Man 2 was 315 million, which
hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
insane.
Mm-hmm.
How
More than the
much
movies.
more than the movies, right? And
Yeah.
that just that sparks a whole other discussion, right? Of like AAA titles and how much money they actually just spend on these titles, and is it even worth that return on investment? And there's a whole thing that we can go into,
Yeah.
right? And then we talk about like other titles like Ratchet and Clank, right? It generated about 8 million in losses. So it wasn't the like commercial success that at least I thought it would have done, right? It only sold 2.2 million copies. And so it's like, I don't know, like these are interesting facts that they didn't really give us, right? And so seeing this information, it's like, huh, like, are we gonna see another Ratchet and Clank? Is it gonna change in some way because it just didn't meet expectations? If you look at it, Ratchet and Clank came out, what was it, like the one of the first titles for the PS5?
Yeah, 2020, I think.
PS5, it had a hard time in the beginning trying to get people in because there were just not enough of them, right? And so could that have, caused that issue? Or there's so many things to talk about, right? There's so many things that
Yeah.
could have caused that issue, but because the PS5 was had its shortages, it could have hindered Ratchet and Clank's sales.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And it goes to show you that, like, with video games, with the AAA video games, right? It's like, I don't know if they make as much money as, like, oh, if you have a AAA video game, it's gonna sell gangbusters, and yeah, they do. But at the same time, if you have like an indie game and you didn't put that much into development and it sells like, like let's look at a game like Last of Us, Among Us, right?
Yep.
The game was made by like 8 people, and the return on investment on it is just apps. And yeah, they're granted selling it for $20 a pop or something like that, whatever. But like, the ROI is absolutely ludicrous when you look at something like that versus something like Spider-Man. Like, ROI is probably better on Last of Us or on Among Us than Spider-Man, right? If you break it down by percentage.
Right.
So it's like, to me, this is, I think you said this. I think we were just on a podcast, by the way, guys. We're on a Slate podcast, the gaming club. You guys should check it out. It's going to be a while till it comes out, but you should definitely check it out. It is called the Game Club Podcast. Look it out for March. We'll let you know. Don't worry. Anyways, we're talking about AAA games. And essentially, I think we agree that we want more smaller experiences rather than not everything needs to be like this big, humongous thing. Give us some more linear stuff. Give us just like story based and just, for example, if I just gave you like a 15, 20 hour God of War Valhalla game, like that was the game, would you love it?
Yep.
And it was $40, $50.
Yep. Eat it up. Yep. That's exactly what I want. I wanted more of Valhalla. Just because of the loop that it had and the structure of the game. It was perfect.
So now let's take another game like Assassin's Creed Mirage. They trim the fat, it's more of a linear type of game, smaller scale. Do you think they did pretty well, or you think they went in the right direction, or do you think they're happy with the results of that game?
It depends on how much it's sold, but I think it's the right direction to take, considering how big the other titles were in the past, right? Kind of downscaling the titles, and just kind of making it a little bit more structured definitely benefits. And I think it helps, instead of just putting all these assets to making these bigger titles and bigger worlds and adding more stuff to it and just causing more like manpower. It's not bad to have smaller scale titles, and I think that's the right direction to take, especially with titles like Spider-Man 2, 315 million. Like, that's the total budget for Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 3 is expected to cost 385 million.
Crazy.
And so it just keeps going up. And then if you think about it, like 5-10 years from now, like how much are these budgets going to be for AAA titles? Like, something has to give. And the only thing that's going to give, if nothing else changes, is unfortunately people are going to be laid off more and more.
Exactly. And here's the thing. If I'm okay with the budget being that ludicrous, if you're going to play this game for years and years and years to come, right? You look at Red Dead Redemption 2, Witcher 3, right? Those games people are always playing those games. They're always going back to them, picking them up and playing them, right? You look at Skyrim, right? People are always going back to Skyrim for whatever reason. People are going back to Skyrim. So GTA 6 coming out. I think it's like $1 billion, something like that, right? But people are going to be playing that game for the next couple of years. So it makes sense for the budget to be that big, because they'll constantly it'll always be, people are going to buy that game. Like, no matter what, people will always be there to play and buy that game. But Spider-Man 2, I honestly can't say in 5-6 years No one's gonna be really playing it. No one's really gonna go back to it, right? Do you agree?
Spider-Man 2?
Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, are people gonna go back to those games and play those games?
I mean, not frequently, not necessarily.
But I'm saying compared to like a GTA 6, where we might still be playing GTA 6, like because of all the updates they're gonna be putting in.
Right. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
If it's gonna be a continuous thing where you're updating these titles, people are gonna keep coming back, right?
right.
That's just the nature of it. But also, I mean, Insomnia does like I think if we're not if I'm understanding correctly, their plan is to release DLC for Spider-Man 2. Like they've confirmed that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that game's not as evergreen as some of these other bigger titles that have those big
Sure.
budgets. So
Mhm.
eventually, once the DLC is all gone, then no one touches the game anymore, and it's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
kind of done. So that's where I'm just trying to get at. But um, back to the leak. Yeah, is it a leak or a hack? I think it's a hack. It's a
Hack
hacker that leaked
slash
things.
leak.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So crazy stuff. If you guys want to check out the leaks, it's all over the internet. I will say this: do not post the leaks. Like, just
Please don't. No.
don't do that. That's scummy. Do it if you want to see it privately for
Enjoy it
yourself.
for yourself. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
it. Yeah, and use that knowledge if you want to, help your gaming knowledge and learn more about the industry and use it as a history lesson. What happens,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
But don't be doing malicious things with those, or go on X and be like, look at this.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Right, exactly.
right. I think this part in Spider-Man 3 should not be in the game because just are thinking about doing this. And
Right.
um, but yeah, any final thoughts about the leaks and Insomniac?
Yeah, it's a bummer, man. I feel for the studio. I feel for the developers that have put blood, sweat, and tears into this, and now it's kind of just out there
Yeah,
for them. Like they're still gonna continue working on this title, but knowing that everyone kind of has a blueprint of what this game is already, it feels scummy. It feels like they're cheated, right? It feels like
oh yeah,
they didn't have their moment to release this. Like think of how un I mean, it'll still be like amazing and just
right.
but it's not gonna have that shock value when it does when Insomniac is ready to announce this title, right? And show us like the very first trailer. It's gonna be, oh, okay, all right, let's see what we saw in the leaks, or oh, yep, I remember seeing that in the leaks. Like it's gonna be a different emotion than, oh my god, this looks incredible, this looks crazy. Like
Right.
it's just gonna kill the hype for them, and it sucks for them. So definitely hearts go out to them, but keep moving, man. You guys are doing a great job. You guys have been killing the industry for the past, for the PS5 generation. You guys have been shutting out these games like no other company. So you guys are doing your thing.
Yeah. And again, for a fact that, other companies like Xbox, Microsoft, they're looking at it, right? They're looking at those leaks 100%. Like they're getting into research on that. So they're
Yep.
ops. But yeah, yeah, something to do your thing. That's like go with it perfectly.
Do your thing. Do your thing.
Before we end the show, we're gonna be going into Christmas. Obviously this being Friday when this is released. We'll wish you guys a Merry Christmas. We hope you get everything you want,
We still
and
got
you can
another
use
week, Rob. Just remember that.
no, we don't, no. I'm saying that when we record, it'll be Christmas,
Oh,
but
I'm sorry. You said Christmas. I'm sorry. Yeah.
New Year's.
I
No. We
yeah, I'm
still got
thinking
one
about
more
New
episode till New
Year's.
Year's. Yeah,
Yes,
Christmas.
yes,
I'm saying
yes.
Christmas. Yeah. So Christmas will be happening. I hope you guys get everything you want. Like I said, Kelvin, is there anything in particular that you have on your wish list? Like number one, you're like, someone gets me this. Awesome.
I think the portal, honestly.
The portal's like the number one wish thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
I
good gift.
that's really all I want at the moment, but I don't wanna spend the money on it, if that makes sense. But if
Right. So
someone
someone
bought it for me, I'll be like, "Yeah, this is great."
I'm gonna burst your bubble a little bit, because I think at it's hard to get right now. It's like going
Right.
in and out
Yeah,
of
that's not
stock of
happening.
things.
Yeah,
So
I haven't even, like, requested that for anybody, you know what I mean? So no one knows I
yeah,
want it, so
right. So it might be a little tough. I actually got it for you, Kelvin. I got it for
Oh, you got it?
your
Oh, thanks,
yeah,
man,
I
I
got it for your
appreciate it.
Christmas.
Thank you,
Yeah, I
thank you.
got you. Now I got you.
I
Yeah,
would kinda flip, though. I was like, "Yo, what the fuck?"
yeah. No, I'm not. I'm sorry. I don't got it like that.
But
So
I
I
got
wish
I
I
got
could, but I don't got it like that.
I got
But I
you.
did
What
get
if
you
I bought it
something
for you?
gaming related. So
Did you? Okay,
always, yeah.
alright.
So yeah, always.
Okay.
Yeah. Me, I would love the PlayStation Portal. I actually requested instead of the PlayStation Portal because I know that's a big hunk of change, the $200. I asked for the backbone for the phone.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's not a bad compromise, right? Where if I'm not going to go out of my way to get it myself, but if someone wants to get it for me and I just have it on me, I can just like put it in my jacket pocket. I could put it in my bag and I'm like anywhere and I just like pop it on my phone and I can play my PlayStation, my PS5, like on remote play. I feel like it's not really terrible, right?
Yeah. I
Right?
can see it. I can see it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll let you know if I get it. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah,
And
please let me know because I've heard good things about it. And it's like $100. It's not bad at all.
I think it's actually on sale for like $70. Really not that expensive right now. So, and I think you can use it more for other games, not just PlayStation 5 games. I think you can like any phone game. So you can actually play Resident Evil Village on yours if you wanted to on your phone.
Can. You're right. Yeah.
You know, so you have the 15 Pro Max, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So bougie.
I'm not really into mobile gaming though. So I mean, maybe that would change me if I had the backbone and actually had like buttons, you know.
I think
But
so.
I think the button's a big factor, right? Because if I'm playing on my phone, tapping the screen just doesn't do it for me.
You know, I think that's what it is. I 100% think it has to do with a controller. I think if you I hate it too. I hate using touch controls. They're garbage. So I think if you had a controller, might change your mind. So we'll report back. I have a feeling that's probably something. Guys, thank you so much for joining in. Merry Christmas. And we will see you before the New Year's. And we have some interesting news to share before the New Year's happen. We'll tell you next week. Anything else, Phil?
Yes, I mean, so next week obviously will be our last episode of the year. Stay tuned for that. We have a really cool guest on the show next week. And yeah, man, you guys have a great Christmas. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. Merry Christmas, guys. Peace out.